Shadow Freddy, a mysterious character who first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and then played a major role in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. But then after that, he was rarely seen again. The only appearances I can count is FNaF World, Help Wanted, but those are just not really lore important. So what happened to him? So throughout the years, I have seen two major ideas on what Shadow Freddy could be. Idea number one is that Shadow Freddy is a spring lock victim and he is trying to bring kids the justice they deserve, basically taking down William. And the second idea being that he is William's wickedness in a badass term, but basically it's just William Afton's agony. Now, I'm going to leave that to y'all on figuring out which one you agree with the most, but me personally, I just think that Shadow Freddy being William Afton's agony just feels fitting the most, in my opinion. Also, no, I'm not going to describe what Remnant, Shadow Remnant, or Agony is, okay? You do that research, okay? You can either read FNAF books, or you can just ask some very good FNAF theorists on what it is, okay? Okay, theory stuff aside, it's honestly tragic on how underused and underrated Shadow Freddy is, but I can't really blame the FNAF community for not really liking him that much, because Scott doesn't really utilize him that much, and it's honestly kind of annoying and sad. But before I fully rant about that, I think we should take a look at Shadow Freddy's history and what makes him so cool. Shadow Freddy's appearance in this game wasn't too major, but it was at the very least notable to the FNAF community way back then. Shadow Freddy's game mechanic, if you can even call it a game mechanic, was a lot like Golden Freddy from FNAF 1, but a little bit different. To summon Shadow Freddy, you have to do these little simple instructions. Make sure that the withered animatronics are gone out of the parts and service area, and make sure you keep the music wound up so you don't die before you even see Shadow Freddy. So when you see Shadow Freddy, you have two options. You can either keep staring at him and he will crash your game, or you can close your camera and just do your normal stuff. When Shadow Freddy made his first appearance, the fandom was very curious on what he was. Was he a hallucination? Was he Golden Freddy taking a new form? What was he? No one knew. The only thing they knew is that he was a recolor of Golden Freddy, and his teeth were glowing, just like Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Freddy's appearance in FNAF 2 may not be too major, but it surely wasn't the last that he would appear. Shadow Freddy would return in FNAF 3, but this time, he plays a major role. Each time you finish a night in FNAF 3, you'd be taken to a minigame where you play as one of the FNAF 1 animatronics, and Shadow Freddy beckons you to follow him. And when you follow him, he tries to take you to a room, but you can't. And then William Afton comes out to dismantle you. Then, as you keep on beating the night, you would play as different animatronics and have Shadow Freddy tell you to follow him. But it all ends up in vain. I think I should also mention this, but Shadow Freddy does appear in the office gameplay of FNAF 3. You see, he appears in the left of your office, though it's a very rare chance, and from what it seems, he doesn't do anything. He just there, sitting there, doing nothing. Not even looking at you, just looking dead. As you can tell, Shadow Freddy's role and his appearances in this game was a major step up from FNAF 2, and it clearly caught the community's attention on how much of a role he plays. So of course, it would make them more fascinated with him on what he is. Okay, I'm going to have to keep this one short because it is heavily debated in the FNAF community whether Nightmare is Shadow Freddy or not, and I don't really want to take the chance of the FNAF community ragging on me, so I'm going to show you all of the evidence of Shadow Freddy potentially being Nightmare so that you can come to your own conclusion. So in the FNAF 4 files, Nightmare is called Shadow Freddy for some strange reason. Now whether it's coincidence or not, I will leave that up to you. But in the character encyclopedia book, Shadow Freddy's appearances says that he's in FNAF 4. Now, whether that's an error or not is heavily debatable, because some FNAF books do make a pretty big mistake, but some of them do make some pretty big hints of what could be for the FNAF lore. Alright, so Shadow Freddy's appearance in FNAF World and Help Wanted, it isn't really too special. In FNAF World, he's just a normal character. His quote is, "I will eat your soul." Not too special. Literally nothing with the lore, probably just a little fun joke that Scott made. With Help Wanted, it's just Freddy but recolored in the repair section. It's literally nothing special. As you can probably tell with Shadow Freddy's history, he started to basically fade away into nothing after FNAF 3, while Shadow Bonnie got a lot of the spotlight from the fandom and Scott, which is honestly really tragic because I think Shadow Freddy deserves a chance to shine too. You see, the reason why I'm so frustrated is because in FNAF 3, Shadow Freddy was given a lot of potential for the future of the FNAF franchise, but Scott didn't really do much with Shadow Freddy after FNAF 3, which is just such a bummer. I just want to know why Shadow Freddy was abandoned. Was it because that Scott forgot about his existence? Was it because that Shadow Freddy didn't have any room for the lore? What is it, Scott? I'm really curious to know. What I also find baffling is that Shadow Freddy never appeared in UCN. Like, never. No lore cameo, nothing. Like, you're telling me you can't add Shadow Freddy, but you can add the mini-arenas? Huh? Like, what did this funny Shadow Bear do to you, Scott? Did you destroy your computer? Did you destroy your house? Did you destroy the FNAF lore? Please, Scott, I want to know what this funny bear did to you to the point that you're just dodging him. Okay, me exaggerating aside, I just wish that Shadow Freddy got the attention he deserved by Scott. I mean, if Shadow Bonnie can appear in FNAF AR and do some cool stuff, then I think so can Shadow Freddy. Like, I don't know, have him appear in the next FNAF game or something. I'd be excited if he was there. It's been so long, Scott. I hope you bring him back one day, man. Heck, even at this point, I would take Shadow Freddy being a main antagonist in one of the FNAF stories. Like, seriously, that would be pretty cool too. I just want something to be done with Shadow Freddy. But what if I told you that there may be hope of Shadow Freddy potentially appearing in a new FNAF game, or at least in a FNAF book? You see, in the FNAF Character Encyclopedia book, there's a page for Shadow Freddy, and it says this. We don't know much about him. Will he turn out to be a crucial character in the ongoing mythology of Five Nights at Freddy's? Maybe. Maybe not. Time will tell. The statement you just saw in the book could be a game changer for Shadow Freddy. Now, there is a point that Scott could totally be trolling us when it comes to Shadow Freddy, but why would Scott mention that? Especially in a character encyclopedia book. I feel like it's hinting that Shadow Freddy could potentially return. Now, I know someone is probably going to make fun of me for thinking that Shadow Freddy could potentially return with the encyclopedia book potentially hinting that, but you know what? Let me dream, dang it. To be honest, if that statement was just a tease and Shadow Freddy never appears again, I'm going to be very disappointed because I've been waiting for this moment of Shadow Freddy coming back for a long time. In conclusion, Shadow Freddy is honestly underrated and underused. I just wish that Shadow Freddy would be more utilized, because FNAF 3 shows that he has big potential to be someone interesting. Will the FNAF community understand on how much I want Shadow Freddy to come back? Yeah, I do think so. Only some though, because I really don't think a good majority of the community will really understand. And this isn't me judging them, I'm just being honest. With Shadow Freddy barely being relevant, I doubt a good majority of the community will be interested in him. Well, it's time for me to end the video before it drags on way too much and people nag on me about dragging it for views or whatever. But thank you all so much for watching this video and hearing me out on my interest with Shadow Freddy. I really do appreciate it. This is DJ Aiden, and I will see you all on the flip side.